Today we're going to be talking about finding areas of regular polygons. Okay, so first we need to do a little bit of vocabulary. So make sure you're writing this down. Our first vocabulary word is apothem, and this I don't think we've talked about before, maybe at the beginning of the year, but an apothem is a perpendicular segment that goes from the center of a polygon to the side of the polygon. Okay, so this segment right here we call the apothem, and it goes from the center to the side of a polygon. Okay, and it's always perpendicular. It's a perpendicular segment. Okay, some people get the apothem confused with a radius of a polygon, which goes from an edge. But we're not going to be talking about this radius here. Okay, the apothem only goes from the center to the side length of a polygon. Okay, to the center, not a corner, not anything like that. So we could have a gazillion apothems all the way around, it doesn't matter. Okay, so make sure that you write an example down, like the one shown here, in your notes. All right, so we're just going to get right into the regular polygon area conjecture. Okay, so I know some of you would be able to find the area of a polygon using some of your skills that you already have by kind of splitting it up into a bunch of triangles. Okay, but we do have a formula that will make it a little easier for us. Now there are two different types of formulas for this, okay, but they both mean the exact same thing. Okay, so the first one is A equals 1/2 times the apothem, which is a lowercase a, times the side length, which is S, and then times n, which is the number of sides. Okay, so we have that first one. Now we can kind of simplify it by taking the area equals 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. Okay, so the perimeter is the exact same thing as multiplying the side length times the number of sides. So this one is kind of a simplified version of this one over here. They both mean the same thing. Okay, and you might use them both at some point, okay, but one is just kind of simplified. So both of them mean the exact same thing. Okay, so if we have, let's say, a hexagon here, okay, make sure that we know that, a pentagon, sorry, it's always going to be regular. Okay, so regular means that they have the same angle measures all around and the same side lengths all the way around, right? All the sides are the same, all of the angles are the same in a regular. Okay, so it can't be used in a non-regular polygon, only regular polygons. Okay, so all of the sides would be congruent and all of the angles would be congruent. Okay, and we take that apothem and we'd multiply it by 1/2, and then we'd also multiply it by the perimeter of the shape. And that's true for all polygons. So all polygons, not just pentagons or hexagons or anything like that, can be used for everything. All right, so let's get started on this. Okay, we're going to find the area of this regular polygon. Now most of the time I use the 1/2 a times p one, okay, but if you want to, you can also use the 1/2 a times s times n. Okay, so they both mean the same thing. I just most of the time use the perimeter one. Okay, it's up to you. So first I need to find the perimeter of this shape. Okay, I'm assuming that, well, they told us a regular polygon, so I can use one of these formulas. Okay, I have a pentagon here, so to find the perimeter, I'm going to take 5 times 8, which gives me 40. Okay, so over here, I'm going to plug in what I know. I know the apothem is 6 because it's the perpendicular segment from the center of the polygon times the perimeter. Okay, and when I multiply all these together, my 1/2 times 6, I get 3, and then times the 40, So 3 times 40, we end up with 120 centimeters squared for my area of this polygon. Okay, so I'm going to show you this other one because it's pretty much the same thing. 1/2, my apothem was 6. My side length is 8, and the number of sides I have is 5. So notice this part right here, that 8 times 5, I did right here to find my perimeter. Okay, so I'm going to get 40 when I multiply that together. But if I plug it all in, I get 120 as well. Okay, so it doesn't matter which formula you use, whichever one you're more comfortable with, okay, or the one that you tend to remember more. Okay, they both mean the same thing, so just kind of keep both of them in the back of your mind. Okay, take a minute, make sure you're writing these examples down so you have something to look at when you're doing your homework or your classwork. Finding the area, okay, so I'm going to take my 1/2 A times P. Okay, but first I need to find the perimeter, and in this case I have a hexagon. Okay, I know they don't have the perpendicular sign for the apothem, okay, but let's just write that in. Let's assume that that is the apothem. So to find perimeter, I have to take 6 times 3.4, so I end up with 20.4 for this one. Okay, and if I'm going to plug all that into my formula over here, my 1/2, my apothem, is 2.9, and my perimeter was 20.4, not 20.5. Right, and when I multiply everything together, I end up with 29.58 centimeters squared for my area of my hexagon. All right, for this one, okay, they didn't give us all the information here, so let's just say we have a side length of 12 for this one. Okay, I know they didn't give us any information, but let's put that in. I want you to take a minute and I want you to solve the area for this. Okay, so pause the video. Yes, pause it. Okay, and then you can check my work when you're done. Okay, so after you have solved this, okay, hopefully you plugged it into one of the two equations for this. Okay, so we have a pentagon here. Okay, so when I multiply my 12 times the 5 sides to get my perimeter, okay, I get 60 for my perimeter. So I'm going to plug in my 8 for my apothem and my 60. And after I multiply everything together, I get an area to be 240 units squared. All right, this one's kind of a fun one. Okay, this time they're asking us to find the apothem, and they already gave us the area. Okay, so especially for these types of problems, you should be writing down the formula you want to use. Okay, because this is going to be an algebra problem. If you're given the area, it's an algebra problem. So I know the area is 250. Okay, and I don't know the apothem, right? That was an unknown to me. But I can find the perimeter. Okay, so we don't know this, but we do know what the perimeter is by taking 10 times the 5 sides. 10 times 5, so we get 50. Okay, and when I plug this in, solving the little algebra here, I'm going to take the 1/2 times the 50 first. So I get 25A. And then I'm going to divide everything by 25. So when I take 250 divided by 25, I get an apothem to be 10 centimeters. Okay, if you still have questions, okay, make sure you ask. Okay, and then you can work on the quizzes when you have completed this video.